Hello. Good to see you guys.
Hello.
I'm working. Cool. All right. Gotta get my computer set up here. I can look at questions. Chance, the way to degas is you want to do it in the primary or the secondary. And whenever you're doing it, basically you just take your mead, where it's in the bucket. If it's in a bucket, excuse me, take like a stir, something to stir basically, and lightly do it to where the carbon dioxide, you'll see bubbles come up. Now don't vigorously stir because that's not going to help you out. Ultimately, you just want that light stirring, and that will help the carbon dioxide go out. If it's in a carboy, then you can take the carboy and you can also go in there and stir. Or you can take it and swirl it, kind of turn it to where the meat is spinning, and that'll help you degas it. And you really only have to do that during the primary, secondary stages. After that, you're kind of done. Hello, Trevor. How's it going, man? I'm actually drinking. I haven't done a video on it in a while for a reason, but this is the blueberry mead, and I added some stuff to it, which I'll talk about here in a second. But at work, yeah, that's life. I understand that completely. Chance, I don't know if that helped you. Did that make any sense? If you're still around. Maybe. Hopefully we get some more people in here too. I want to try to answer as many questions as I can. I haven't done one of these update videos in an ask video. And it's been 2 months or so. And so hopefully I can talk a little bit about what's been going on. And I talked about it in a previous video a while back. I actually moved a little while ago, and I moved out of one house, out of Texas actually. Then I moved to Oklahoma, and then I was in the process of buying a house. So I stayed somewhere else, and now I have a house. So it's where I'm at right now. I've been renovating, and it's been a challenge for sure. But it's been fun and very rewarding. So here in a little bit, I'll go ahead and show you guys down this way is my mead room. So I think you guys might enjoy that. The new place is awesome, Trevor. I really like it. It's coming together slowly but surely. Hello, new people. Welcome to the stream. These are not very long videos, so tell your friends to jump in real fast, and we can talk and figure out what's going on. And I want to see what you guys are up to. Hey, Dylan Farr, how's it going? Anybody working on any fun meads? Anything? I think you guys have seen my videos if you've been watching them. So that was a fun one. What kind of mead did you make, Dylan? Trevor, we'll do a meet and greet hopefully at some point in the future. We'll figure it out. I think it'd be fun to do that. I think everybody just is so spread out, which makes it a little bit harder to do so. Just take your time, man. You're good. We're good. Trevor, I know you're working on stuff. How do you age mead for long periods of time without having to constantly check the airlock? Ryan, I leave my airlocks on up until bottling. Basically, you don't need to check the airlock other than for water. There's not too much of a reason to be checking. If you are constantly on it, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So what I do is after the primary and secondary fermentation stages, I'll just leave the airlock in and then let it age like that. And it ages just fine because there's not any fermentation happening, so there's not any yeast, pushing out or changing the mead as much. Hopefully, if you've racked it over well enough, then you shouldn't have to worry about any extra yeast being in there. So really, to answer your question, you just do it. You just leave the airlock in and let it go. There's no secret to it by any means. Got a mead kit and still haven't played around with it yet. I got some more yeast for other meads later on that will have fruits. Aaron, what kind of fruits are you going to use in your mead? I'm very curious to hear about that. Let's see. Tractor Man. Making my first mead, I'll be sulfiting and sorbating soon. Do you test sulfite levels and add accordingly? I have done some. Honestly, I'm very much so about not adding too many different powders and trying to change the mead too much, because I feel like it kind of gets in the way of the flavor sometimes, especially if you start to do. I mean, sulfite is fine. Just don't go overboard. I have done it before, yes, and I don't know. I don't do it a lot because I've had great results without having to do it. And so if you're just really careful, and if you just kind of taste your mead along the way, generally you can start to fix problems before they become problems. Here we go on the desktop. Oh yeah, I just bottled a cold brew. Ooh, that's one, Trevor, I'm thinking about trying and making a cold brew coffee. Fermented to dry, so anyone can add their own sweetened creamers. It's similar to Kahlua. Wow, 17%. That's pretty good. I'd be curious to try that. Making the first step for a flavored mead with blackberries, raspberries, habaneros, and possibly mango. That would be a really good mead. I think it sounds like almost like what I had today. It's some like fish tacos or something that were like pineapple pico de gallo. So that's what kind of reminds me of right now. That sounds like it's gonna be a good mead though, Dylan. I would definitely try that. Whale Lords, how do you stop over foaming in the mead? You need to make sure. I personally do it really by using plastic fermenters. So like I have a couple 3 gallon or 3.5 gallon plastic fermenters, and when I'm doing the primary fermentation stages, I leave it in that. So there's a lot of headroom. Actually, right now, the pineapple mead is probably foaming over not foaming over, but foaming up a lot, and that's because part of my plastic fermenter is sealed really well, and so it's not letting all that oxygen get out. So I have to go over and kind of check it occasionally. So to answer your question, you just kind of get a bigger fermenter, and then whenever you go into the aging process, you want to go ahead and put it in one where there's not a lot of headspace. Let's see. Waiting to see how the pineapple goes, but I'm thinking of doing a cherry mead. I want to do a mead with mint after seeing your top mead of the year, but I kind of want to use fresh mint though. Mint and meads mix really well from what I understand, so I would definitely try that. Like peppermint did really well for me. I think it'd be interesting to do like fresh mint, like you're saying, and do maybe like a sort of tea-based mead and add that mint in there. Hello, Benjamin Perry. How's it going, man? Should I add the fruit and peppers on the second stage, first rack, or in the second rack? Don't add them in the rack, Dylan. I would add them in the secondary stage and then let that sit for a while. So I generally say primary is about roughly 30 to 45 days until it starts to slow down. Secondary, when you want to add in the other things, will probably be another 30 to 45 days. And then after that are racking stages. Now that's not definite, that's just a general consensus of where those lie. So I would add them into the secondary. Do you ever watch other mead channel videos such as Creature Hub and how they keep murdering their meads? Actually, Dylan, I have seen some of their stuff as I've been looking over meads, making mead and that stuff, and other people. I've seen some of their stuff, and it's kind of interesting to hear them talk about it. I know they're a bigger channel that was like a gaming channel, but they're still kind of created some cool content in that regard. Rogue, hey, you inspired me to take up brewing. I started my first mead 10 days ago. I started at 1.1 starting gravity, and the mead seems to have stopped at 1.05. Way too sweet. Has this ever happened to you? First question, Rogue, is did it completely stop, or is it just slowed down a lot? It could have just kind of hit a buffer zone. which means that it could pick back up. But I have had something similar happen, and it really depends on the yeast. If the yeast aren't getting what they need, then they kind of cut themselves dry and die off real fast. But I don't know if that's the case. You might just have to restart it, so you could use more yeast if you wanted to keep fermenting, or maybe add some yeast nutrient and see what happens with that. That might kind of kickstart it again and see if it'll keep going. Never thought to make it as tea first to extract the two flavors of it. Yes, tea and mead are really good together. I've seen a lot of people make really great meads with tea. So I want to do that at some point, whether it be green tea or just whatever other herbal teas there are you could try. They mix too violently with their yeast. Yes, definitely. In those videos I saw, not that they don't know what they're doing, but they were definitely beginning the process, and so they were beginning to understand what was going on with it. Rogue, I would just try to kickstart that fermentation again by adding yeast nutrient or adding maybe some more yeast, the same yeast you used, and see what happens there. They might have a hard time kicking in though, because the alcohol content, it could kind of be an issue, but it's worth a shot. Have you ever thought of using carrot honey or any others? There's actually avocado honey, and then that I wanted to try. Then there's like all the different like alfalfa honey and various ones you can get on Dutch Gold. That's a really interesting and nice honey website that I want to try. I just have never ordered them, so I've kind of stuck to the same general few honeys. I've tried probably 7 or 9 now, different ones, and I have some of them I like, but I've never tried carrot honey. That sounds like it would be really interesting to use. Like I said, I want to try. There's actually an alfalfa honey that is at the natural grocers around me, and it is something that it's not too expensive, so I think it'd be really cool to try. So I want to try that at some point. But also the avocado honey, really any of those that are kind of wild and different would be cool to see in a traditional mead how they taste, and then start to add different fruits and whatnot to pair things. So one thing I do want to talk to you guys about, and I don't have my bottles next to me right now, but I received my first mead, that like a homebrew mead from one of you guys. So if you guys want to send me your meads, you can absolutely send me that. So I'll make sure not show his address. But this right here, well, is it backwards? I can't tell. If you'll go to this address, oh, it is backwards. I can't flip it. But I'll make sure and put the information down below. And if you'll send me, whatever you want, whether it be honey, mead, letters, stuff like that, I would love to talk to you guys and try your meads, or whatever. I'm reviewing them as I go, so it's not like I'm just taking your mead. Hopefully I'm going to give you some insight from what I think about your mead, whether it be good, bad things, whatever, stuff like that. So I will put all of these links actually down below. If you look in the description, hopefully, real quickly, I'm trying to update it as I go. You'll see also some other links, those being I have a PayPal donations if you want to help support me. I really need, buying honey gets expensive and stuff like this, so if you want to support me with that, I have a merchandise store, so I have stickers and t-shirts and like a beer can cooler and a bunch of different things. So you should be able to see that here in just a moment if you're looking in the description. Someone asked me a question. Let me get back to it. Oh, goodness. I lost my... Okay. Last question. I have a Chinese friend who wants to contribute ideas for recipes. Her idea is a Chinese herbal mead using Chinese honey syrup. Is that a valid substitute to honey? I would try it regardless, but I don't know too much about it. Chinese honey syrup, it might be really watered down honey. One thing about honey is that most big chain people kind of water down their honey, and for it to be called honey, it only has to be 51%. So the other 49 can be water, can be whatever else. So you have to watch out for when you're buying those things, like, and I don't have it by me, all my stuff's over there, but like at Sam's Club, there's a honey, it's like a clover honey. I don't want to say it's not real honey, but it is definitely lighter, and it seems like it might be like watered down. So you just kind of have to watch out. One thing you can do, if it has a True Source logo, if you look up True Source honey, there's a little green logo, and that will always be honey that is true, like truly 100% honey or whatever else. You can always track those back to its original place where it was created or gotten. Okay. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that so much. That's super nice of you to say. What is your first batch? I'm curious. Chance, have you thought about one day raising bees for honey? Absolutely, but I have no idea how I would start to do that. It'd be something I have to really get into, and it takes time, and I know it's a lot more effort, but ultimately you do get your own honey, and you know it's yours, and it'd be kind of cool. Now, we'll see. That might be something in the future. Right now, it's not close to my radar. We racked our first batch last week, 4 gallons split to cherry, 3 pounds, cinnamon and vanilla, 2 regular. Took out cherries today and re-racked. Took out cinnamon, put 2. That's awesome, Troy. I like taking meads and then splitting them down like that because you get a lot of different variety. You can try things. And I've had my first actually 3 meads were like that. I had a 3 gallon and I split them into 3 different things. Have you thought about making a capsule? Absolutely. That's one of my one mead I want to make a lot. It's actually probably going to happen pretty soon. I have wanted to do that one for a while. I just haven't gotten around to it. So now I'm going to hopefully get to that soon. Good source for orange blossom honey. I have gotten orange blossom honey, Dylan, from Amazon actually. It was a big like 12 gallon 12 pound container of orange blossom honey. It was like 60 or 70 bucks. It worked really well for me. It was Florida orange blossom and somewhere, and I don't have the exact thing for you, but hold on, I'm multitasking. So Florida, if you just look up Florida orange blossom, here, I'm going to share this one with you. It's unpasteurized. The big thing about getting honey is you need to make sure it's unpasteurized, which means that it's not been heated up. When they heat up the honey, you lose the nice characteristics of it, and I don't know. It's not good. You lose a lot of great things about the honey in general. Are you going to do mead with wild fermentation Wellington? I have no idea. I've heard about that. I'm a little leery of it because I have no idea how to do that. So it'd be something that I'd be trying to figure out. But I might try it. Might be fun. Made a jalapeno cucumber mead as my first capsule. It was pretty good. I also made a blueberry cherry bochet. I'm pretty disappointed with it. Blueberry cherry bochet. That sounds interesting. The tannins, you might have had some weird tannins in there because of the flavors and all the mixes. You know, the bochet itself with the caramelized honey might be kind of hard to ferment with. I know that a lot of times people have trouble fermenting their bocets because it is a really harsh and not acidic, but the yeast don't respond as well to that burnt honey sometimes. I just copied your 3 gallon video and split it into a plain honey, blueberry, and strawberry. Thank you, Dan. One of my goals with this channel is, of course, I like making mead because I enjoy drinking mead. I'm drinking some of my own right now. But also I enjoy trying to help people make mead, whether that be following my recipes or making their own. But the step-by-step is what I want to do. So mead education is kind of my fun thing. Noah, I made a vanilla bean chamomile mead. Very good. That sounds good. I've never done anything with vanilla bean, but I would be curious to try that. No problem with fermentation. It just tastes flat to me, like something's missing. I think it needs tannins to be added. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Okay, so one thing I want to do before I forget, I want to show you guys my new setup, my new mead room, so you guys get a little sneak peek into it. So I'm gonna go in here. So I have in my house now, come on, camera, turn around. I have in my house now a nice like utility room. So this utility room is really great because I of course have my washer, dryer, all those things, but I have all my Meads set up right there. And then I also have these two cabinets, and these two cabinets are holding all of my Mead stuff other than those. So in here I have like some of my boxes of it. So this is like a active Mead right here. And then I've also got even more in here. It's kind of dark, but I have two active ones down there. I've got some just Meads in there. I've got another active one, and then my last container. I need to organize just a little better right now. I'm still in the process of moving some of it, another active, and I'm storing all my carboys and stuff that are not being used in here and all my extra stuff. So there's just a lot going on with that, but ultimately I'm able to kind of organize and make it look nice. I don't have a whole room. I mean, I dedicated just a Mead like I did, but I do have that. So, all right, let's see. Kali, I don't know how to say last name, just subscribe to your channel and really enjoy your videos so much that my wife has joined in. Just started my first 5-gallon batch yesterday. I'm doing a peach mead with the K1V1116 yeast. That is a great yeast for one. Also, I'm really glad you got involved with making mead. It's a lot of fun, and I think you're starting to see that already. It's kind of like a rabbit hole. Eventually, you just kind of keep climbing down, but it is a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy making those. So best of luck. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Let's see. Mix it with the laundry. Yeah, I could do that. For wild fermentation, if it was a cider, then there would be natural wild yeast on apples and the cider. Yeah, wild yeast have a really bad reputation, so you have to be really careful about that. Most wild yeast are like, you don't really want to have them in your mead just because sometimes they don't ferment like you want. So I would be curious to try it. It would definitely be a test mead. It wouldn't be one that I'm like, this is 100% going to work, because it might very well not. So maybe in the future I might try that. Does your Nordic Viking beard increase your mead making ability? I sure hope so. I don't really know. I mean, I started this channel without one, and now I have one, so maybe it's gotten better. Who knows? What made you start making mead? I started making it to both prove someone wrong and also to fight the boredom craving for smoking. I started making mead. I wanted to start brewing, and so I wanted to do beer. And whenever I started looking at the things for beer, I was like, oh man, I need like a big camp stove to be able to like heat up my big pot, and I need to buy like an $80 pot, and I need to buy all this bunch of stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, this is a lot of money. And realistically, looking back, I've spent that money in other supplies. But I wanted to start brewing beer, found out about mead, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to try it. And so I started my first mead, much like Kali did, and now here I am, about a year later, actually. So it was started with beer, found out about mead. Mead's been fun to make. There's already natural wild yeast in the honey. You just need to add water to your honey and let it ferment as a starter. Like I said, that's a good chance for me to try that. There's no guarantee, but I would like to try it, something like that in the future. That guy. Hi there. I started my first batch of mead just a month ago. Yesterday, I racked over 3 gallons into separate 1-gallon containers and added some fruits to them. That's awesome. What fruits did you add? And I'm curious. I want to know about that. Jesse, I just got into mead making. How long should it take for my mead to start clearing up? Oh man, that's going to be, it's going to take time. Aging your mead, you want to age your mead probably, depending on from your start date to like, let's say, bottle, my general timeline is at least 9 months. And then aging, you want to let it go for a while. Now, the clearing part is going to happen during the aging and when you're racking. So after you rack a bunch and you get all the sediment out, and that sits for a while, then it'll start to age, and then hopefully it'll clear up. So if you're wanting a super clear mead, I would make sure to try and let it sit for a long time. But other than that, don't expect it to be clear tomorrow. So it's just Mead's a patience game. Dylan, spend 1K on supplies to make beer. Yeah, if you want to do it the right way, you kind of have to, unfortunately. Have a Mead that's 3 months old, that's 18%. Wow. And it's not that good. Do you think it will help? Time will help. Yes, I think time always helps Mead. The better, longer a Mead ages, just like wine generally, the better it is. So give it a shot. Just let it sit. There's no point in pouring it down the drain, of course. I would just let it sit, and maybe it will get better with time. Have you ever thought about honey jacking? No, I have not. I feel like that seems like a little illegal thing to do. I've done gallon batches without yeast nutrient, and I'm deciding now to add some now, but I'm really just concerned about ruining the batch somehow. If you're pouring in like gallons of it, yes, just follow what the packet says. If it says 1 teaspoon or whatever, then ultimately you want to do that. Just the teaspoon, but don't do more than that. Also, one trick, Kali, is you want to take like a glass of it and then mix your nutrient into this and then stir it in and then pour it in. If you just pour it all in, yeast nutrient can take and actually mess up the cell walls if you just pour it all in at once because it kind of overexcites them. So this helps them when it's dissolved in something else not freak out as much. I've got apple juice in one, dark cherry the second, and blueberries in the third. Dark cherry sounds really good. I've never done dark cherry stuff before. And apple juice, I've actually never done an apple juice based mead, interestingly enough. I also started a prickly pear tuna mead a week or two ago. Prickly pear tunas are tasty watermelon tasting fruits. I've never heard of a prickly pear tuna. That sounds interesting. I'd want to try that. How long do you usually leave your fruit in the secondary fermentation? I try to go about, my new standard's been 45 days. So it depends on the fruit too though. Sometimes you don't want to leave a fruit in for too long. The darker the fruit in is, like a blueberry, I feel like you can leave in for longer. There are just certain fruits like citrus you don't want to leave for like past 60 days, I would say, because then you get some weird, so you can sometimes get some weird flavors, off flavors with that. But most generally 45 days for fruit. I wanted to just do Honeycrisp apples instead of the Honeycrisp apple juice, but the store didn't have them. Yeah, the apple juice, as long as it doesn't have a lot of preservatives in it, you should be fine. But if it was like the standard doesn't expire until 2025, yeah, you're gonna have some problems. Also have my own beehives. That's awesome. Send me some honey. I need some honey. Prickly pear tunas are fruits that grow on prickly pear cactus in the southwest up to British Columbia. I have never heard of this before. Dylan, you ever thought about selling extra mead, or is that too much trouble? It is trouble in the respect that it's hard to do that, and you kind of have to jump a couple hoops for me to like go through the process of doing it in a legal way. It is more than just like, hey, send me $20 and then whatever. I could do that, but right now I don't want to quite get in trouble. So maybe in the future, what's one of my goals? Also, it would help if I had some more inventory to where I could do more than that, which I have inventory, but not as much as I want ultimately. Apple juice had no preservatives. Good, that's great. All set up on my first 2 gallons of mead for adding fruits. Have you ever tried freezing or heating fruits to help avoid spoiling or rotting? How does it change the flavors? I always freeze my fruit before you put it into the mead. What it does is it actually kind of breaks the cells. Like if I had apples, I would take my apples, I would cut them up into a couple pieces, and then put them into a Ziploc. Take that Ziploc and put them in the freezer. It takes the cells and then it kind of explodes them, and it makes it easier for the fruit to get its flavor out into the mead. And then before I actually put it into the mead, I'll take it out, thaw it, punch it a few times, basically break it down a little bit, put it back in the freezer. I'll do that about 1 or 2 times. Basically, you're just continue to, like, the more you freeze it, you're kind of adding a greater chance of those flavors getting mixed into the mead, as in my experience. Also what I've heard from people with doing that too. So it's kind of a interesting thing, but it's worked well. What's the difference between wine and mead? I make wine. Um, wine is wine's different in that the base of wine is not is like, if you think of other fruits, like people make strawberry wine, people make grape wine, stuff like that. The base is not honey. Like with mead, your base is honey and water, and so that's where your fermentation is happening. And so that's the big thing. Your alcohol content is coming from the sugars of honey and whatever else you're putting in there. Whereas wine, your alcohol content is coming from like your fruit primarily. Do you use any potassium metasulfite? How much do you add for 1 gallon batch? So my little thing, I don't have it next to me right now. I should have. Potassium, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. You need to look at sulfate, excuse me. I would not do, sulfite is the wrong one. Oh, I don't. I'll just answer your question by saying this. You need to look on your packet and see if you bought some, then it should say in some instructions on the side of how much to put per gallon. If you want to make that jalapeno cucumber mead recipe, I can send you a link for that. Please do. I would love to see that. I only left my fruit in the secondary for 2 weeks, strawberry and blueberry. I heard you say about 45 days. Should I go back and add fruit again or just leave it alone? Dan, that's based on your taste. So what you need to do is you taste it and see like, okay, well, do I really taste those blueberries and strawberries, or is it kind of like a weak flavor? You can always add fruit. That's great. So yeah, I'll just taste it and see. There's no harm in doing that. Next time when you make a mead, I'll probably leave them in for longer. Ultimately, you want that flavor to impart. And you're not going to hurt the mead unless you leave the fruit in there for a really, really long time. They probably won't spoil, especially if there's already some alcohol content. Have you seen the video of the couple who made a cherry mead only to find out it came out horrible and the wife tries to hide her disappointment? I have not seen that video, but that sounds about right. Anyway, I just dropped in and say I loved your channel. You showed me it would be easy to make delicious mead at home. Maybe once mine is aged, I'll send you some samples. Please do. I want to test your meads. One cool thing is getting to try you guys' stuff and see what you've done. Because I feel like every mead maker should have somebody else try their mead, and it's really nice whenever it's someone else who knows something about mead. Ultimately, like when you take mead to like your mom or your friends or something like that, a lot of times people are just like, free booze. And while it's great, free booze, at the same time, you want some feedback, you want some appreciation. So whether you share it with me or another mead maker, whether it be a friend or something else, get somebody who knows something about the stuff instead of just like, the free booze idea. By the way, I added pectic enzyme. Hopefully make it clear out. Yes, that will help clear out. That is generally something that does help clear. Just bottled my peach and strawberry yesterday. Still waiting for my cherry experiment. Cool. My peach mead is, I want to do it again. I need to leave mine in for longer. I kind of left mine in. My peach was only in there for like 2 or 3 weeks, so it wasn't long enough. How would I go about sending you the link of that recipe? You can put it in the comments here, and then I'll be able to like save it, and that'll be easy. Thoughts on rum yeast? I don't know much about it. I can't say I can't say one way or another, frankly. I wish I could say I know more, but sorry, I don't have a lot of answers about that. Just made a root beer bochet. Going to try it soon. Root beer bochet. That sounds really interesting. I might try that. There's a lot of recipes I do want to try in the future. I'm still working on getting my inventory of lists of things I want to do. So always send me those things. In one way you guys can support me, of course, is by sending me and liking these videos and doing these things. But also, if you'll look in the description right now, if you haven't, if it's not there, you might have to update the stream. I have a bunch of links: merchandise, my Patreon, Facebook. I've got my PO box. I've got all these things. I've got a PayPal donations. Please help support me. I love making content for you guys, This is not my primary job, so this is just something I do for fun. And so while I wish I was a millionaire, I'm not in life. And hopefully I can get some better quality things, like being able to stream not on my phone this next time I stream. Let's see. Thoughts on people using bread yeast? I don't think bread yeast is bad by any means, but at the same time, I've never used it, and so I've heard some people have success stories with it. I don't know much about it. I've never tried using it. I just started up a spiced mead with cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. I used your yeast recommendations. Awesome, Jason. I'm really glad I could help with that. Which yeast did you use? Bread yeast works. Like I said, I don't have much experience with it, so I would try and trust somebody who knows a little bit more about that. I'll have to try that at some point. All right. Okay, I got about 5 minutes left. This was supposed to be like a short one, and it's turned into quite a big thing. So 5 minutes, and then I gotta cut it off. But ask your last questions, and I'll try to answer them as fast as I can. Ooh, EC1118. That's a great yeast, especially for what you're doing. It's good for traditional mead, but it's also good for adding those spices and those things. So I think that's a good choice. I would definitely continue to use that one. When do you rack? I rack basically after my primary and secondary stages. So if my fruit has sat in primary or secondary, for about 45 days, I'll go ahead and rack it off, and then from there, continue to rack over time. Basically, you're going to rack without losing a lot of mead. You want to try and get all the sediment out of your mead. That'll help clear it up. Also, it'll get the yeast taste out of there. How often are you going to do live streams? Hopefully, I'll be able to do them more. I think it's something I really enjoy, so I want to try and do it more. I don't have an exact, every Monday. That'd be really cool if I could, but I'm not sure. Maybe one day. Maybe that'll be something. How long after making? That depends on your fruits and all those things. Basically, you would just want to wait until your fermentation has slowed down to virtually nothing. Favorite fruit flavor of homemade mead? By far my favorite's the peppermint mead that I made. If you want to look at that, it's the November mead, monthly mead. It turned out super good. It's really interesting, weird mead, but oh man, I loved it. It's great. How's the pineapple coming along? Both of them, it's interesting. The one that has no pineapples in it right now is kind of bubbling up quite a bit, which is different than what I've seen. And then the one that is also has the pineapples in it is also bubbling up some. Both are really active fermentation. So I'll be curious to see what those flavors impart and those since they're two different stages of fermentation for the fruit. I might have used a bit too much honey, about 4 pounds in 1 gallon carboy. I did that. Actually, one of my sweeter meads that I do like is the apple cinnamon one. If you watch the mead tournament, it competes in there, and you might already know something about it. But it's a pretty good one. EC1118 versus D47. Which one do you prefer? Personally, I like the EC1118 because it's a beast of a yeast. It is. The D47 is probably my favorable one in that case between those two, because it also is a beast and it works really well. I've had lots of great success with it doing traditional meads, but I do like the EC118. I've also used it in different meads. I want to go jump off and play some Witcher. Just want to tell you that you're doing an awesome job, and if you're ever in Dallas, come and collab. Absolutely, that sounds really fun. If I'm ever in Dallas, I'll hit you up. Could you post on your IG in advance the time you plan on doing it live? Yes, I can definitely try and do that next time. I had a little mix up with this one and scheduling, but it worked out in the end. Jason, keep up the great content. I'm recommending your channel to my buddies who are starting up their home mead making. Awesome, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hopefully I'll be able to help more people and help you guys with this. Will 3 sticks of cinnamon overpower my mead in a 5-gallon batch? No, I generally do about 1 stick per gallon, so you could probably get away with 4 and be fine. At least in my mead that was 3 gallons, I did 3 gallons and then a bunch of apples and stuff, and the cinnamon was not overpowering, and that was 3 cinnamon sticks. I'm providing mead to show a fan meetup next year. So I'll let you know. Possibly you can bring some too. All right, Dylan. I'll see you later. Sounds fun. Okay, guys, I got to wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching my content. You guys are really fun. Like I said, I got all these links down below if you want to check out lots of merchandise or cool things like that. But continue to watch my videos. If you'll leave likes and comments and all that stuff, ask me your questions, give me recommendations for future Meads. I always need help with that. While I do feel like I know stuff about this subject, I also don't know a lot. So I'm still learning just like you guys in some ways. If you do have a question I can't answer immediately, I of course will do some research and try and figure it out. I don't want to ever lead you guys astray, or just just say sorry I don't know anything about it, because it doesn't work. But thank you guys for watching. I will hopefully let you guys know next time earlier about the next live stream. So I appreciate you guys tuning in though. So cheers. See you guys later.